So, long story short, I actually went to university with Dave in around 2004 to 2007 ish. We actually were on the same course, but unfortunately, or fortunately, probably from his perspective, we weren't like really good friends. We operated in the different kind of social groups, but I guess like you finish uni and you reconnect with people, and you always kind of keep an eye on those who are kind of in your wheelhouse. We both did similar sort of things professionally, and then I opened my clinic up in Leeds, and Dave being fairly close to the area, being over in Sheffield, he popped up. We had a little chat, and then my sort of business developed, and I started building some platforms and online stuff. And yeah, long story short, basically we started having conversations around about value add-ons for Nuvictus, how what I do might be able to help with that, some of my experiences in terms of creating and developing communities. And so yeah, that's how it kind of came about really. And then he made me an offer I couldn't refuse, and here we are. So I feel like Dave alluded to in his interview, and Ben did. We've got a lot of common values. So things about integrity and wanting to be helpful and to support other people. My own personal values really are focused in and around things like this idea of innovation. So I want to create things that are cutting edge, but not just in terms of the products themselves, but in terms of the services that we offer to help support people. I think the other value of mine that's sort of very close to my heart and something that always kind of pulls me into other brands is this idea of like creating a legacy. With my background and my upbringing, we didn't come from a lot of money. Had an amazing upbringing in terms of being supported and driving towards education and everything that people would want, I guess, from an upbringing. But this idea of creating a legacy, creating something for my family, creating something for myself, and something that is impactful, most importantly, is something that's always kind of resonated with me. And not only that, to be able to create something which creates a legacy of health and a legacy of opportunities for other people. So I think with Nuvictus, that's kind of what we've tried to pull together really, is this idea of creating opportunities for people to improve their health, improve their performance, and to really make that the foundation of kind of who they are, what they do, and hopefully, as well as creating a legacy company and a business which has a meaningful impact in the world. Hopefully it allows people to go out there and create their own impact and create their own legacies. My own personal client biggest win. So much like David, I've worked with athletes of all kind of levels, including elite athletes, multi-million-dollar a year athletes. But I think the biggest win for me really was one client that was trying to get IVF treatment, was trying to become pregnant, and was basically told that she couldn't have the treatment unless she lost a certain amount of weight. And so working with me, worked on her behaviours and her habits and supported her in losing that weight. And then eventually, after trying and a lot of frustration on her part, not in terms of weight loss, but in trying to become pregnant, she actually didn't had a child. So I think for me, being thanked for that and having a very small role to play in that, helping someone kind of get something that they really wanted, like truly meaningful. I guess, talk about the idea of legacy before, but their own genetic legacy was something that was like, yeah, that kind of still makes me smile thinking about it now, as you can tell. But in terms of getting to this point, I think, we all face challenges. I think trying to achieve anything in life that's worth doing is inherently difficult and inherently challenging. So my PhD was definitely a period of my life where I wasn't necessarily mentally in the best state. I was dealing with a lot of stuff, and a lot of, I guess, kind of imposter syndrome would kind of be what most people would call it. But I had a lot of negative feelings towards myself. I had quite a lot of kind of, I guess, stress or trauma in my early life in terms of like losing people who were close to me. And I think I carried a lot of like anger and resentment and things towards the universe, really. It was nobody's fault. These things sort of happen. But yeah, that anger and that resentment meant I really had to got in my own way a hell of a lot. So I had to do a lot of work on, dealing with those issues and trying to not get angry towards myself or projecting that out towards other people. So I think for me, although the academic challenges were there, those academic challenges combined with a coping mechanism through anger and frustration, which then had the potential to, or became quite self-destructive, was something that wasn't very helpful. So I think for me, really learning to develop coping strategies and learning to become a bit more stoic and have feelings and have thoughts, but really learning to control those and use those in a positive way is something which has been the biggest challenge for me to overcome, but also the most rewarding in the sense that, I do feel like this idea of the unconquerable soul, I wouldn't say I was there yet. I don't think you have a complete personal development, but I do think there's an element of overcoming that stuff and changing as a person is something I never thought I could do. I thought this was this stigma monkey was always going to be on my back. This angry monkey was always going to be on my back. And actually now it's like, it still rears its ugly head occasionally, but now I'm much better at being diplomatic, I would say, controlling that emotional response and actually being proactive with those feelings and processing them properly. So yeah, I think that's probably the biggest thing, was overcoming that. I guess what I bring to the table in all of this is, years of experience as well as knowledge, and applying those two things together is going to be massively valuable to our community. I hope if the community engage with it. I've also got a lot of experience of working with other communities as well, supportive communities in and around this kind of health space. Did I just really use the word space? I believe I did. So I've got a lot of experience working with different people, different backgrounds. And as much as, I love the science of things, I think my biggest strength really is being able to communicate with others effectively through content, through courses, through all of that other stuff, which, yes, we talk about supplements and them being beneficial. And yes, we've got the blood work so you can get loads of insight and loads of data on that. But support in education and support in community is massively important in terms of people sort of realizing their potential, fulfilling their purpose. And that's something that I really want to drive home. And that's, that's having the supportive community there, but also having the education and resources so that like the stuff that's the fundamentals to our health and to our existence, good sleep, good quality nutrition, good amounts of the right type of exercise, stress management, all of that stuff is also massively important to making the most of our lives. So, we want to support you guys in a way that's more than just, take this supplement, here's some blood work. We want to have a meaningful contribution in helping people make a positive change, and by providing them with the right kind of information and the right kind of resources. So the thing that surprised me so far, I guess, like the other guys have pointed towards the time it takes. I think what surprised me in a positive way is like how well our working dynamic has evolved. I think what surprised me personally though is I think this is the first business venture that I've been involved with where there is generally there's like a three-pronged attack on this business. And even though we might have slightly difference in working practices, and we've obviously got different areas of kind of expertise and knowledge and experience, that actually it surprised me like how focused we are on the same goal. So we might have different approaches or different ideas about how we got there or are getting there, but actually the fundamental values and the fundamental principles we want to apply and adhere to with Nuvictus and what we want to give back to our customers are, surprisingly congruent with each other. So quite often in ultra marathons, I will volunteer to be like a sweeper on the course. So I'll go at the back, make sure people are okay. I don't get paid for that. It's just something I do. One, because it gives me a bit of experience and time on feet. And two, because I feel like you can't have these events that I take part in without volunteers. So it's good to give something back as well as get a little something out of it as well in terms of a bit of, experience and understanding course knowledge. And yeah, my last ultramarathon I did, which was actually a race, I actually slowed down considerably for a period of time. A guy was having real bad difficulty, really dehydrated, heat stroke. And normally you just ask if someone's okay and carry on if you think they're okay. But this guy really wasn't. So, I slowed my race down, made sure I got to the next checkpoint. His family were there and his partner and his kids were a little bit worried about him, made sure he got medical attention and waited with him for a bit and just kind of spoke to them and hopefully kept them quite calm and kept their mind at ease. And so, yeah, that probably put 20 or 30 minutes on my time, but I'm not a top of the leading athlete or anything like that. If that was the case, who knows what I might have done. But yeah, it was just nice to have that kind of time to just go, look, this is a human being in difficulty. And in those kind of situations, like bad things can happen. So it's not, it's not a park run. It's, some of these things are off in the mountains and hills. So there's a way of, treat other people the way that you'd want to be treated. And if I was in that level of difficulty, I definitely appreciate that. So yeah, that's something recently that I did, which I'm was quite selfless, I guess, in some ways. But the directors that I wouldn't let look after my pet, which would be a dog, by the way, if I had a dog, which I don't, would be Ben. Because even though Dr. Ben's got a dog, yeah, he's just very unruly, very ill-disciplined, and just, tries to hump your leg all the time, kind of like Ben, really. They should expect us to provide a platform and a community and a support network and resources and all of that stuff to help them become, a better version of themselves or a more improved versions of themselves. This idea of improving ourselves day by day by day, working on our personal development, becoming more educated, becoming more autonomous and more in control, and becoming, an unconquerable soul that is completely empowered and is completely on top of their own kind of health and well-being, and being able to, like, take some names and kick some ass in all areas of their life, is that something that people should expect from themselves. But in order to do that, they should expect from us the tools and the resources and the effort to create that kind of space and environment for people to do that in.